Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show, Illiana Stock Car Radio. As always, we are your hosts. You should know us by now. Jeremy Banning, Chris Goodacre.
That's who you are?
That's who I am.
God,
that's who I claim to be.
I have no idea.
That's who they tell me I am anyways. I mean, it could be totally something different.
Well, as long as it's what's on the lease.
That's true. Yeah, the government has all the documents, and they know where to find me. So
yeah,
right here. Allegedly.
So, on Illiana Stock Car Radio.
Episode number 38, by 38. The way. So 3 and 8.
Yeah.
Together.
That's some numbers right there.
Those are some good numbers. No.
3's good. 8's
off limits. Certain stylings of the number
exactly
8 is off limits. But yeah, we got a good episode lined up.
We should make it 38.8.
30. Just add all the 8s and 3s and stuff.
Just to make sure we're covered.
Yeah, there we go. You got, I guess, 3-8 if you want to key in a DEI theme. You go 1-15. You can add some of that
there you go.
Got that. So,
This is going to turn into pie here pretty soon.
Well, I like pie.
That's not that kind of pie.
Apple pie, cherry pie. Cherry pie's pretty good. All right. Or we can do the 3.14 thing, So, yeah. No, I think
Let's get back on the rails.
Yeah, I think we got a pretty good episode. Of course, we're biased. We always think they're pretty good. So,
yeah, that's why we do them.
Yeah, so you tell us, when you get done listening or watching to this.
Go complain on our polls. I mean, comment on our polls.
Or drop some feedback on the show postings and whatnot. Tell us what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see in the future, and maybe we will oblige. With that being said, we're changing the format just a little bit this week.
Right, you're catering to our audience.
Well, we're just trying something out.
You're catering to the vocal part of our audience.
Yeah, which is a very, very vocal minority, apparently.
Well, I hope it's the minority.
Yeah, well,
because if we got one guy that watches us still, I guess
it
could be the majority.
One is better than none. So
true.
I guess that's where we're going. But we're kind of doing.
Should we call out Ricky and make sure he's still watching us?
I think you just did.
I just did.
You just did.
Or our moms.
Yeah. Or any other family members.
Well, yeah.
Or whatnot.
Primarily moms. I remember moms always checked in when we were on Facebook.
Chiming in. Which, that's probably a whole nother discussion, but...
Yeah, that's the post-race interview.
Yeah, not for right now. So, like I said, we're going to be trying a little bit different, a little more of an abbreviated format, kind of not covering some of the results or things that you guys can look up.
Frankly, you should have been there.
Yeah, you should have gotten your backsides trackside. So we're just going to focus on our guest interview tonight, and we have a good one.
We do.
You lined this one up.
I did.
And
actually, I lined this one up on the racetrack.
On the racetrack. Look at you go. Literally on the racetrack?
Well, in the infield.
Yeah, close enough. Close enough to where you guys are at. But I know this is one person that you look up to and you kind of aspire to be from the photography standpoint. Someone who's...
Also the knowing of lots of things.
And hopefully we are going to pick his brain on some of those things here this evening. It's none other than, for the second time on our show, Mr. Stan Kalwasinski.
I like when people are repeat offenders.
Well, the fact that they agree to come back and subject themselves to this misery again
means they're either masochistic or we're not that terrible to be around.
I guess it's maybe 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
There you go. All right.
I guess that's where we're at. So yeah, we will have Stan on here in just a little bit. Yeah, you guys can listen to that interview, kind of see what he's been doing this year, where he's been at, kind of go over a little bit of history. Got a few history-related questions we want to ask him and get his opinion on a few things. So really looking forward to getting that going. But first, we're going to get a little bit of housekeeping.
Yeah, you really are. I'm lost.
Well, I mean, this is just a detour. We're good.
Okay. Well, I had to go through like 2 or 3 to get here.
I know. Construction.
Why does Northwest Indiana want to construct on every road at the same time?
I know. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. And it tries my patience, which...
Every Friday, it is impossible to get out of Indiana.
I know. I don't get it. It tries my patience, and I have very little to begin with, so that's where we're at.
That's why he's not a doctor, folks.
Yeah, for sure.
No patience.
But he will be here all week. Be sure to tip your waitress and try the field.
I hope I'm not all here. Shiloh hopes I'm not here all week.
Yeah, well, that's true. And you got pictures to edit and stuff anyway, so...
Exactly.
And your equipment's not here, so...
Right.
So, little housekeeping before we get to Stan Kalwasinski. First off, if you're listening to this show, be it on iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, thank you. If you're not, you can find us on Podbeans, iTunes.
That sounds like familiar.
YouTube, or your favorite podcast app. Go check us out, follow us, give us a like. Like I said, on any of the postings.
If they're listening to us without knowing how to find us, I'm very curious how they stumbled upon us.
Well, one friend tells one friend, and they tell their friends, and they tell their friends.
All right, so you went Wayne's World.
And so on. So yes, check us out, follow us.
You're gonna have a hell of a time editing that.
I know. That's it's gonna get a little weird, a little House of Mirrors effect kind of thing.
There you go.
The multiple screen things going on. But yeah, make sure you follow us, subscribe to us, like us on Facebook. We're on Instagram as well. Just please follow us. If you've got any positive feedback on the show, negative feedback, just interact with us. Let us know how we're doing, what you'd like to see. So that's what we got. Also, want to thank our sponsors. We got a few people that help bring this show to everybody.
We got to go full on Mikey Waltrip.
Yeah. So first up, Dimmitt Race Videos. I know James Dimmitt just celebrated a birthday.
He did
over the weekend. So happy belated birthday to him. Also, I know he's cranking out weekend racing videos from Grundy County Speedway, South Bend Motor Speedway. So make sure to check him out. Dimmitt Race Videos on Facebook and on YouTube.
I believe he said he was headed up to Kalamazoo
this week. So.
I don't know if he's recording, but I know he'll be up there. So if you see him, say hi. Thank him for what he does.
Absolutely. Also want to thank S4 Motorsports. They have some events coming up this week.
Are any of them races?
No, I believe they're still trying to put a car back together.
Yeah. So you finished that race.
I finished third in that race. They have Crown Point Cruise Night. It's our sponsor, Shep Real Estate, is presenting that cruise night this Thursday in Crown Point at Bulldog Park. If you're in the area, you want to go check them out, go do that. And then on Saturday, I believe they're doing the Touch of Dutch Parade in DeMotte. So go check them out there. You can keep tabs on everything they're doing on Facebook and Instagram. That's S4 Motorsports. So I want to thank Good Acre Photography.
That's me.
That's you.
Well, you're welcome.
All right. Keep tabs on everything they got going on goodacrephotography.com/ whatever racetrack here.
Right. We just uploaded Shady Hill. Should be live today, and I'm kind of hoping I can get Grundy up before I go to bed tomorrow, but if not, it'll definitely be up Thursday morning. I know I'm running a little behind. We had kind of a big show at Grundy this week, which we'll get to in the interview. So stay tuned. So anyway, goodacrephotography.com/Shady Hill/Grundy/South Bend. I swear I'm getting to those. This is a lot of work. But yeah, everything will be up soon.
Awesome. I also want to thank International Women's Motorsports Association, IWMANation.com.
Yeah, they got a thing going on here pretty soon, don't they?
They do have a thing going on this weekend. If you're up at the Michigan International Speedway, you want to go to the Michigan International Speedway, make sure to check out their Facebook page. Again, IWMA Nation, International Women's Motorsports Association. They've got a all-you-can-eat buffet event.
I'm in.
With special guests. They're going to be having Samantha Bush. Obviously, you can meet Melinda Russell, who is the founder of the IWMA group. Stacy Fine, she is a producer for MRN Radio. Elizabeth Prestella, tire specialist for NASCAR. A lot of stuff going on up there, so make sure to check out their Facebook page. IWMA Nation has the flyer, has all the details, especially if you're going up to Michigan. I know a lot of people from this area go up there, so
yeah, they do.
Make sure to check that out if you're thinking about going up there, or want to kind of tip the scales going to that event. So check that out. And we also want to thank Left Turn Graphics. You can check their Facebook page for current specials, everything they've got going on. Also for the South Bend Motor Speedway, check out the souvenir booth. They have a lot of cool items there as well. So without further ado,
well, a little bit of a do. We got to call him.
Yeah, that's due. Yeah, and you're going to have a nice little transition here.
Oh, two Wayne's Worlds in one show.
We're good.
Should we start doing the product placement stuff?
Excellent. God. I don't know if Costco will count with their Kirkland waters, but
Good Acre Photography, the place that pays you,
and pays me, and
City Chevrolet, because why not?
Yeah, so all kinds of
maybe Hendrick will call us.
Maybe. So we're gonna go wait for that phone call. And in the meantime, we're going to let you listen to our phone call with local racing guru,
nice segue,
historian, and photographer Stan Kalwasinski. So we hope you enjoy the episode, and be sure to like us on all the social media channels: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes, wherever you're at. Look us up. So hope you enjoy.
Yes.
It's Jeremy and Chris with Illiana Stock Car Radio. How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Oh, I can't complain. Wouldn't do any good anyways, right?
No. I'll just hang up on you.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely doesn't.
Shortest interview ever.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess you got to shoot for something sometimes, right?
Yep.
Well, thanks for coming back on the show.
Oh, thanks for asking me.
Yeah, always a pleasure. Been a little while since we had you. Kind of had to go back and do the math. It was March of last year when we had you. So a little bit of time has passed since
No, I was
then.
on here. You guys had me on earlier this year.
Did we?
Was it March 2019?
I don't know. I thought it said 2018, but I had a busy day at work. So.
Yeah, you should check your record.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think I need.
Don't matter.
Yeah, well, I had my eyes checked at Sears, and you know how things are going there. So, so no wonder they're going bankrupt and out of business. So apparently,
Stan's
don't work.
been on before, and he's willing to come on again.
Yeah, that's really the bottom. That's really the bottom line. He's willing to subject himself to this misery again. So
Right. I'm waiting for this first check, so I'm probably to be 2 checks now in the mail. So.
Yeah, Chris has got that.
Whoa. Chris has it with him. Okay, I'll look him up.
Yeah, well, it's also with his dues to the Big Time Shooters Club, right?
Yeah, that he's behind several years with that. So
He's got to pony up, man. So how's your 2019 been? Kind of where have your travels taken you so far this year?
So I guess we're live here or being recorded, huh?
Being recorded, we are.
Oh no. Well, I'm not ready. No, I've been hitting and picking races, and I've kind of cut down from last year and the year before. I think I've made 17 races, but I think I've been at 13 different tracks during those 17 race programs. So that's kind of cool. I don't want to end up going to the same track week in and week out. Every Friday here and every Saturday there. And not that the racing is not good, but I don't know. I'm just doing a lot of stuff and pick and choose where I want to go, and I'm lucky and fortunate to be able to do that.
Absolutely. So, what are some of the tracks you've ventured out to so far this year?
Well, just this past weekend, we were at Sycamore Speedway. They had their full program of stock car racing, and they also had Badger Midgets there. And it's a combination program, so that's pretty cool. I was at Slinger for the Slinger Nationals in early July, and I've been to Berlin Raceway there in Michigan, going to the Kalamazoo Clash tomorrow at Kalamazoo Speedway, and been everywhere, it seems like. Indianapolis for the time trials. We didn't go to the race. I think the only thing we're missing on our little list here is some NASCAR racing. We weren't able to get over to the Chicagoland Speedway this year.
So,
that's quite a list.
That is quite.
It's in Grundy and Grundy County Speedway and Shady Hill Speedway.
Yeah, I think I've seen you there twice this year.
A couple of others, yeah. But so we've been busy, and taking pictures, writing a few little stories. Probably not as much as I should be able or should write more, but I don't. But that's called, I think, being retired and lazy.
Well, you ain't got to be retired to be lazy. My wife will tell you I'm lazy already. So, so anything you've seen along the way so far this year that's kind of stood out to you? Any racing action? How tracks are kind of going about promoting things? Anything that stands out?
Well, I don't really know. I've gone to so many races over the years. I think the Slinger Nationals was a big hit there. I mean, they had, of course, retired NASCAR driver Matt Kenseth. He won the race. The place was pretty packed, loaded up there. I thought that was a good program. Shady Hill Speedway had their annual Firecracker 50 for the UMP Modifieds. That was a pretty well-attended event. The one thing is I'm sad to see LaSalle Speedway. They announced, here a couple of months ago that they closed up for the season, and that's a big question mark in this area. What's going to happen there? And we can't afford to lose another racetrack.
Yeah, already lost too many, and they're getting few and far between. They're definitely not making any more.
That's for sure. I don't think you're going to see too many racetracks being cut out of being developed wherever. If the track's there, it's got a good chance maybe it can continue or get revived. But once they're gone, they're gone. And we've got a perfect example out here on US 30 in Cherville, Indiana, Illiana. It's just sitting there and. Just sitting there.
Yeah. So I know when we had you on here last, that's kind of a good transition. We kind of talked about some of the disconnect with the NASCAR world and the short track world, and how that may or may not be kind of contributing to some of the track issues that are out there. But I know NASCAR and NBC, they've done kind of a My Track, My Roots program where they're trying to put an extra emphasis on connecting with the short track base and showing pictures and having representatives go to races when they're in town. Kind of what's your thought on that, and also the new partnership that Grundy Speedway has now with Chicagoland Speedway?
Well, it's all great. I mean, anytime you can promote short track racing, whatever avenue you're going to use, it's tremendous. And NASCAR, of course, is the epitome of stock car racing. And if NASCAR can help the Grundy County Speedway or any speedway in this country to attract more fans, to get more people interested in auto racing in general, it's just great. It's just, you look at the stands of some of these tracks, the attendance at some of these tracks on certain nights, and the crowds are just not there. And there's all these different reasons. It's too hot, it's too cold, it might have looked like it might have rained later, and then there's graduations, and there's this and there's that. But I just, me personally, just think that I don't know what you want to call it, the love affair with the automobile is kind of gone. And I think people used to relate to that, go to the races, hey, that guy's driving a 57 Chevy, and that's what I drive, or he's got an Oldsmobile or a Chevy Camaro, that's what I've got. And guys, young guys and older guys would tinker around with cars, their car, and hot rod around the block and go to the local drive-in and all that stuff, and go to the stock car races on the weekends. But nowadays, you open the hood of your new vehicle, and I won't mention any brands, but my God, where is the engine? There it is, I think. Or is that the windshield wiper solvent container? I don't know. And I'm scared when I open the hood of a car nowadays.
Yeah, anymore I don't bother.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do.
And then with so much, our younger generation attached to various social media and games on various tablets and all that stuff that's sometimes just way over my head. It's just like there's just not that interest. We can play video games and instead of wild and crazy action-packed video games in our house. We don't have to go to the automobile races and watch crashing and banging and slamming and such.
Right, yeah, definitely talk about that cultural shift. So hopefully, hopefully this program that they've got going on will help maybe kind of connect the dots just a little bit. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, you got Chicagoland Speedway there in Joliet, and just down the road a piece off of I-80, you've got the Grundy County Speedway, and it's a great partnership, and hopefully both tracks will benefit from it. Get some short track fans back there, because I think the short track fans have kind of walked away from some of the NASCAR racing, at least what I see and hear. But it'd be great if both parties can help each other.
Right, for sure. So speaking of the Grundy County Speedway, this past weekend they just had the Frank Welch Memorial, as well as the Candyman 33 in memory of Ed Mahoney. So as someone who's been around a while, kind of a local racing historian, if you will.
It'd be nice to Stan.
I didn't call him old or anything. I said he'd been around a while. He's experienced.
Yeah, I have a lot of experience. Yeah.
Yeah. Geez, Chris, throwing a man under the bus.
Yeah, Chris is always picking on me.
He's gonna have to pony up a little more money now. Dues just went up.
Yeah, right. That'll be the day.
Yeah, it'll be a cold day in hell, right?
Yeah, cool day, cool.
I'm thinking I'm getting bussed now.
But
really?
But as someone who's kind of knows the history of the region and some of these racetracks definitely better than myself or even Chris, probably both of us combined. Tell the people out there listening to this show maybe a little bit more information about Frank Welch, who he was, and as well as Ed Mahoney, because my knowledge of them is very limited, and obviously we just had races memorializing them. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about who they are.
Well, I think Frank Welch, of anybody, probably played the most important part in the history of the Grundy County Speedway. I mean, going back into the early 50s, he was a stock car racer. He raced at the old Mazan Speed Bowl there in Mazan, which is south on 47, south of Grundy, a couple of, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever it is. But Frank was a race car driver, and he was a champion there at Mazan. And he told me the story years later. He hurt his back in an automobile accident, and he really couldn't race anymore, didn't want to race anymore. So he became an official and worked with Wayne Carter, who was very instrumental in regards to all the racing at the Mazan Speed Bowl. And Mazan Speed Bowl was a high bank quarter-mile track, no fences or guardrail in the turns. Cars kind of would go off the track, come back onto the track, and had grandstands on both sides. And it was just part of the annual Grundy County Fair also. And they raced there weekly back in the early 50s and into the 60s, etc. Well, Frank Welch got hurt, was working for Wayne Carter. Frank Welch did everything. He was the flag man. He announced, he scored, wrote racing results stories, and did everything. And then when they closed up Mazan, the Speed Bowl there, and went to the Grundy County Speedway, opened that, built that, the Grundy County Fair Board, moving the whole fairgrounds to its current location. Well, Frank Welch was the president of the Fair Board and the director of the racing at Grundy for until he passed away. And he hired me to be the announcer there, I think in 1989, 1990, somewhere like that. And we did that for 10 years. And Frank was a tough guy. I mean, it was, kind of Frank's way or there's the highway. And, but I mean, he did a lot for the racing at Grundy County Speedway, and he worked with John McCarnes and Art Frigo from the Artco Racing Series. I mean, that was the home track for Artco for many, many years. The first Artco race was held at Grundy in September 1975, and again, it was Frank and his wife Marge handled the back gate, the pit gate, the sign-in gate, whatever you want to call it, and Jim Welch, their son, was an official at the track for many, many years, and as a matter of fact, he announced out there for a number of years too. But Frank Welch was, I think, the reason Grundy County Speedway is there today, and it had a lot of success over the years.
Mm-hmm. Well, definitely good information there. And then what can you tell us?
Sorry, I'm so long-winded.
Hey, that's all right. Gives us good content for people to listen to. Good stories. Maybe refresh their memories or teach them something about the local racing history. Then what can you tell us about Ed Mahoney over there?
Well, I think Ed Mahoney, I didn't know Ed personally, but I think when I left the Grundy County Speedway as the announcer around 2000, I think Ed was just getting involved, I believe. But again, he was a fella that enjoyed automobile racing. He was there, a competitor in the street stock division. I think number 33 was his car number. But this Candyman special race and the term nicknamed Candyman, he liked the race, and after the races he liked to hand out candy to the kids, and there's a lot of guys like that all throughout the country for that matter. But Ed Mahoney would would what do you call communicate with the fans, little kids coming down there looking at the cars. There's a piece of candy, boy, this is cool, I like that number 33 car, let's and little kids asking, hey Dad, or Mom, bugging their parents, can we go over to the races again this, next Friday or whatever? Yeah, we'll see. And I relate to that because my parents weren't big race fans, but I used to just bug the heck out of them to take me to the stock car races, back when I was a kid. And that's what builds that, and I think sometimes the competitors and after the races really don't get this. These kids are a little shy and they're holding an old souvenir checkered flag, and they're looking for the driver, who drives that number 1 car, number 10 car, or whatever, and I want his autograph. And you talk to the kid, and oh yeah, you had a good time tonight, yeah. So all that handing out candy and handing out hero cards, or that's all very, very important. That all builds this, and sometimes I think the competitors are so involved in the racing, they kind of lose track of that. And Ed Mahoney is a perfect example of that guy that just interacted with the fans, whether they were kids or adults.
Everything you just said, I can attest to. I wouldn't be sitting in this seat here if it weren't for Mike Martin, of all people. So we went in the pits after the races one night, and I picked that car. I want to sit in that car. And through the Martins, I met the Weltmeyers, the Kalwasinskis. It kind of just spread, and I got to know everybody in the pits. And that's I think. I'm getting on my soapbox here a little bit, but I think that's what we need is, it really, really depresses me when I'm standing out there in the infield and I'm watching these trailers leave midway through the features.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Chris, because I've gone to different tracks and for whatever reasons, the races are over. They've run the main event, the main feature for the first class or the main class, and then we've have different divisions, and the races finally are all over. The pits are open, but basically all these heroes, or the guy won the feature, guy won the semi, or whatever, they're all gone. Like you said, they've all pulled out, and I think that really hurts racing. And I know some tracks, and I've heard, and I couldn't come up with a name right now if I needed to, but they kind of tell you as a competitor to stay and don't leave. Stay there until the races are over and interact with the fans. And if they're not doing that and the pits are just simply empty by the time the races are over for the most part, then it ain't helping the situation. Again, that interaction between the drivers and the fans, I think it's important. I'll get off my soapbox or soapbox or whatever I'm doing here.
Oh, hey, that works. I think we definitely all agree that you get them involved early, they're more likely to stay involved for the long haul.
And back on my soapbox, South Bend a couple times a year, they'll open the pits during intermission. I know South Bend runs a really long show, and a lot of times, the pits is kind of cleared out by the time they're done racing, and the kids are asleep. So them opening the pits up during intermission so you can go back there in the light of day and meet these people that are still around.
Right. Well, I was out there 2 weeks ago on a Saturday night. They had their full program at South Bend, and they had vintage stock cars too, and a couple of local guys I've known for a long time, Woody Poole and Pat Eklund, were racing, so I took a ride up there, and they opened the pits before the night's regular races started. And here you go again, it's parents and with their kids in tow, or the kids with their parents in tow, looking for these drivers, looking for, they were handing out candy just like they did at Grundy a couple of weeks ago during autograph night, and photo cards and all that good stuff. And that I think it helps. It's got to. I think it just, like you said before, Chris, Mike Martin, number 12, easy. That's my favorite driver. Let's go get his autograph. Oh, who is this guy? Let's go meet him and see what it's all about. I think that's very important.
Yep, totally agree. Speaking of other local racers, big name racers around here, back in July we lost one, Ray Young, probably one of the more well-known racers in this area for quite a while. What can you tell us about Ray for people that may not know much about him?
Well, I think that Ray Young was probably the most popular stock car driver to come out of the Chicago area, to ever come out of the Chicago area. I mean, he started racing at Raceway Park in the 1950s, early 1950s, when they had, 75, 80, 100 cars in the pits, all one-class stock cars. And he became a top-running driver. And the one thing that's really neat about Ray Young was that he won, and I'm trying to remember this from not looking at notes, but I believe he won 8 track championships at 5 different local speedways. He was a 3-time champion at the old Waukegan Speedway. He was a 2-time champion at Raceway Park. He won a championship at Mazan. He won a championship at Illiana, and he also won a championship at Grundy County Speedway. And so he won 8 championships at 5 local tracks over the course of about 30 years of his racing. But again, I just think he was the most popular driver to ever come out of this area. He had kind of a low key. He was born in Tennessee, kind of a low key, had that Tennessee drawl, and number 99, and he was just a popular driver, and he was good. He won a lot of races. He won 107 feature wins at Raceway Park during his career, and he won 50-some at Waukegan, and I think 25 or so at Grundy. I mean, he won a lot of races. And then he won the Bentonhausen race two years in a row, the Tony Bentonhausen 100-lapper at Illiana 2 years in a row, and then he and right around 77, 78, he started racing full-time on the American Speed Association circuit, going to tracks like, Winchester and Salem and Indianapolis Raceway Park and places like that. But again, I think he was the most popular guy to ever come out of this area as far as stock car racing goes.
Definitely more good information there. Add that one to the Rolodex there.
It's definitely stuff I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, a little bit before our time, at least my time.
A few years.
Yeah. So now, this next bit. Chris has been talking about this. I think he talks about this pretty much since Stan retired, I believe. Yeah, so just about every week I see him, he's talking about this, and he's going on and on about, of course, your time being the announcer at Illiana Speedway, and
Grundy too. Illiana and Grundy. Well. I think that reinforced it because I heard it sometimes twice a week.
You poor boy.
He's kind of always going on about the introductions you would do to the race nights out at Illiana or Grundy. Kind of tries to recite them here verbatim.
Fails miserably.
Off of his memory, and he does kind of fail miserably, yes, in his terms. I'll say it for what it is, Often imitated, never duplicated, right?
Yeah.
So kind of, I guess, go talk about the background of the introduction. And do you remember the introduction that you would do?
I think Chris was talking to me at Grundy one night in the infield, and I just spouted it off like it was just doing it last week or last night. But I did 13 years of announcing at Illiana, and during those 13 years, I also did 10 years at the Grundy County Speedway. So I was doing Friday nights at Grundy, Saturday nights at Illiana. And I'll be the first one to tell anyone that I stole ideas or introductions or how I announced from probably two of the best announcers in the Chicagoland area, Wayne Adams, who was the voice of Raceway Park for many, 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 many years, and Jane Gabriel, who was the announcer at Santa Fe Speedway. And those two guys, and they had a little different approaches. They had different styles. They were totally different, I think. But I I stole, copied, whatever you want to call it, how they announced the races. And I had gone to a lot of races and heard Wayne and Jan announce, and I said, well, yeah. And so I just basically copied and stole some of their delivery and et cetera. So,
well, there's the backstory for you.
There you go. Well, I was actually just thinking, to me anyway, Stan is the voice of Illiana and the voice of Grundy, just like Wayne would be the voice of Raceway Park, and Jan would be Santa Fe, and then you get people like Mike Joy and, oh God, I can't remember his name, Bob. The ESPN guy, Bob Jenkins. There we go.
Bob, well, you're putting me in some with some high-profile people there. I don't think I could carry their microphone up to the booth, but we had a good time, and it was fun. And the only reason I probably gave up the announcing at Illiana, it was hard to get to Grundy because of my job there for a while. But then Illiana and my son started racing, and I started finding myself one afternoon at Illiana early in the season, and I knew Jack was running 6, but I had no idea who was winning the race, and it was coming down, and all of a sudden I looked at the scoreboard. Chris, you remember the scoreboard in the middle of the back straightaway, and I looked there and I go, oh, it's 8 laps to go. Oh, we're coming around, and Tom White, the starter, had the white flag, and all of a sudden I go, oh, white flag, a lap to go, and I go, and whoever was leading, it was a Mid-American race, and I go, oh, yeah. And so I just wasn't concentrating on doing the announcing as best as I thought I could, and so I said, well, I think I'll get this up. So that's what we did.
Well, I'd be remiss to not ask. Can you recite it for us? Give us that.
Well, I practiced, and I even wrote it down so I wouldn't screw it up real bad. Because, but I feel pretty bad because Wayne Adams, at 100 years old, can still recite his opening remarks. But it kind of went like this. Good evening, everyone, and welcome on behalf of owner-manager Harry Molinar to Illiana Motor Speedway for the 10th stock car racing program of the 1995 season. Ready to get underway with qualifying runs in the late model and sportsman divisions. If you haven't done so already, pick up a copy of the Illiana Souvenir Program book, only $1, available at the main entrance to the Speedway and also at the photo booth. Make yourself eligible for lucky number prizes a little later on during intermission. That was it.
I just got goosebumps.
Then we just put him back in the booth today. He's good to go.
I'm all for it.
And then we'd close it this way. After I told people that be careful getting out of the grandstands. And you remember, Chris, as a young kid, getting out of the grandstands at Illiana back in the day was kind of tricky.
Yeah, but I think if you spent enough time doing it, it became second nature to where I'm running up the grandstands and people that have never been there, how are you doing that? I don't look down. Yeah,
but we told the people that be careful getting out of the grandstands, be careful getting out of the parking lot. The pit areas were open, or the pit area was open for fans to go down and take a get a closer look at the cars, get some autographs, etc. And be careful, mom and dad keep an extra watchful eye on the kids as they're still loading cars and equipment down there. And then we'd go in, and on behalf of Illiana owner-manager Harry Molinar and all the Speedway officials, as well as the drivers, car owners, and mechanics in competition tonight, this is your announcer, Stan Kalwasinski, hoping everybody enjoyed the races. Hope to see you out here again next Saturday night. Have a safe trip home. Good night, everybody.
Okay, still goosebumps.
Yep, definitely still got it.
Well, let's go break in. Ain't nobody there right now.
Yeah, there's not even a booth there, and I'll tell you a quick story. Wayne Adams, the first stock car race they ever had at Illiana was in November of 1948 on a cold, blustery day, Sunday afternoon in November. And it was going to be a 200-lap national championship stock car event promoted by a fella that supposedly was out of the Texas area, if I recall the story from Wayne. But so they had, I don't know, maybe 24 cars, 20 cars there. They're going to run 200 laps, and they get there, and and Harry Molnar rented the track. He leased the track to this fella, and so so everything else, things like flags. Okay, Mr. Flagman, are you get a flagman, a starter? Well, where's your flags? Well, no, we didn't hire a flagman or a starter. So some guy had an old shop rag, red rag or whatever, maybe it was an old red handkerchief, and he tied it on to a piece of stick that they found laying there off of tree limb or something, and they used that. That was a flag, the one flag and only flag, and Wayne Adams was brought in from Raceway Park. He was kind of the premier guy. He was announcing races all over, Raceway Park, Soldier Field, Hanson Park, special events at Mazan, and they brought Wayne over to announce the races. Well, Wayne tells the story. He gets there, and there's no PA system. There's no microphone, no sound system, and so it just went on, and they ran this race, and they just basically said that instead of running 200 laps, he said, well, let's see, what do you think? It's 100 laps, and they didn't keep track. They kind of tried to keep score, him and another guy using popcorn on a piece of paper, and the wind came up and blew the popcorn off the paper, and that was the end of that scoring idea. And then they ran for a while, I guess an hour, and they said, well, we figure this guy's leading the most. He looks like he's out front, and so they awarded the race to him, and that was the first stock car race at Illiana back in 1948, as told by Wayne Adams.
Wow. I'd never heard that one.
Can you follow that one up, Chris?
No.
No.
All I can do is ask if Elmer was the other guy.
Yeah, no. Elmer tells the story. Elmer Steinbeck, longtime scorer there at Illiana. He tells the story of him and another guy that from the northwest side of Chicago. They said they're opening this track Santa Fe somewhere up near Hinsdale or Willow Springs, and Elmer and this other fellow took a ride, and they go, holy cow, this was out in the country. This is like 1953 or something like that. And Elmer said, wow, this was way out in the country, in the woods. I think there was a general store, the racetrack, and the Howard Teat, the promoter, the kind of the family home out there, and that was about it. It was in Teatville, Illinois. That was what it was called at the time.
Good stuff. Good history.
That actually kind of feels like rolling up to Shady Hill these days.
Yeah. I don't. The location of Shady Hill, it'll be a while until civilization comes upon that place. So I think we're good there. I don't think we're going to get in trouble in the near future.
Hopefully, we can keep running races as long as we can get cars to race.
That's exactly right. And seems like you go to tracks, and the thing is that, that's one thing I've noticed. It's just so expensive. I mean, the super late model racing, everybody knows what's, Grundy, tire rule change there, and car counts are a little down, but the racing has been good. It's, everybody was telling me at the beginning of the year, Eddie Hoffman's going to win every feature from the whole season. Well, now all of a sudden, they run them twin 25s last Friday night, and you got two different winners, and neither of their names were Hoffman. Josh Nelms and Keith Tulf won the feature races. So you've got Eddie Hoffman, and Mike White's been a feature winner, Nathan Kelly and Nelms and Tulf. So there's some, I might be missing somebody, but I don't know. But it's good competition, but the cost of just fielding a car is, it's just tough. And I think you even see that in some of the other divisions, street stocks and mid-American. It's just stock car racing, short track racing, weekly racing is an expensive hobby.
Very much so.
Yeah, you want to go with the Kenny here?
We were lucky enough earlier this season to have Kenny Wallace on, and he pretty much said anybody can get into it if they want, as long as they know what their budget is and know what they can afford and run to their budget.
Right. And I forget who somebody wrote in one of the one of the magazines. I don't know if it was Speedway Illustrated or where I read this, but maybe it was an online internet quote. But the author said that, race car drivers and competitors, car owners, etc., they don't seem to keep a close eye on budgets.
Right.
They said, man, if I can spend a little more money, and this is a trick deal here, or this is better, this is a special shock or engine or whatever, they just to win, they want to win, and they want to, race as best they can. They will spend a few extra bucks, a few extra more bucks, and before you know it, it's a lot of money.
That's no more bucks.
Yeah, right. And that's what's, a lot of guys have, it's gotten, I think personally, it's gotten out of the super late model racing has gotten almost away from the guy that just has a job and maybe his wife works and he's got 2 kids and et cetera. It's just, it's an expensive sport.
It is, but we love it nonetheless. That's for sure.
That's for sure.
All right, Stan. Well, definitely thank you for coming on again and imparting your wisdom on us. Again, it's always
anytime. You guys caught me off guard there at the beginning. I thought we were just chit chatting, and then we were gonna.
I don't know if Jeremy's ever chit chatted.
Well, the best part is just I usually like these to be just like a chit chat. It kind of makes it feel a little more authentic, and makes everyone feel a little less tense about it. Especially some of the drivers that we have on here that maybe we're not used to giving interviews. So that's just kind of the way we like to do things. So.
No problem. I enjoyed it, and I hope you guys ask me back to do it again.
Absolutely.
I am sure that we will, and we definitely look forward to it.
All righty.
All right. Thank you, Stan.
All right. You guys take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.